What's up, legend? Lewis here. I just had my inguinal hernia repaired 1 week ago, and I wanted to share my recovery experience so far. I went with the Shouldice method, which doesn't use mesh, and today I'll be talking about why I chose it, what the recovery has been like for the first week, and what you should expect if you choose to go ahead and go through the surgery yourself. So first off, I went with the Shouldice method instead of the mesh repair. For me, it came down to the idea of having a piece of plastic inside me for the next 40 to 50 years. I'm 39 right now, I've got 3 kids, and I'm really thought long-term about my health. We've already been learning more about microplastics in our environment, in our food, even potential links to chronic diseases and cancer. So I didn't feel comfortable with adding more plastic into my body, and if I had like a proven alternative that I could just be going with. Another thing that I thought about is I am still very active. I'm also a runner, so I felt like the miles that I would be putting on my body, especially in that region of just movement and friction, would just be a weird thing to just be constantly rubbing and heating up. If you're not a runner, maybe you're more a rower, or I would assume maybe cycling could be a little less abrasive to the inguinal area. You'd probably be okay with the mesh. But I like to sprint, I still play soccer. And so I felt like, having a piece of mesh that's just gonna be kind of, cause for breakdown and friction and movement would probably not be the best thing long term. So I'm gonna give you guys a quick little peek of what it looks like right now. This is pretty gnarly looking compared to what it actually feels like. Still some swelling there, as you can see. It's pretty protruded, but it's feeling good. It's just really, the pain is kind of now concentrated more on the actual incision, not really internally, not down in the actual repair site. The bruising is spreading. You can see some discoloration in yellow and purpleness. That's going to be spreading to it's now spread to my thigh a little bit, spread to my scrotum and my shaft. And so that's gonna kind of look grosser than it actually feels. But it's part of the healing process. The old blood's just getting pushed out and filtered out. Okay, so let's just talk about recovery. So because the Shouldice, like I mentioned, is a little more of an intensive actual procedure, your recovery is gonna be kind of painful. The day you get home, it looks pretty cool. There's nothing going on. It just looks like it's just a long slice with some super glue over it. But then within the next 24 hours, the swelling starts to set in. And then that's when it kind of gets really weird and alarming, because then all of a sudden it starts to grow and the whole incision starts to protrude, and then pain starts to set in. And then you really start to feel the surgery. You can get a prescription for pain meds. I opted not to get my pain meds. They were gonna give me, I think, Oxys or oxycodone or something like that. But I just stuck with the Tylenol for the first 2 days and just stayed on the regimen of taking 2 tabs every 6 hours, I think it was. And that kept the pain at a manageable level. There was a stint where I kind of missed a dose, and the pain was pretty uncomfortable. It wasn't unbearable, but it was just not fun. I didn't like it. So sleep was kind of tough. I do suggest, just icing regularly as well to kind of help with the swelling. It does help with a little bit of the pain too. Getting up, I would basically roll to the opposite side of the surgery, of the procedure, to get up off the ground or off the bed or out of a chair. I've been actually relaxing on this couch. And so the movement was basically to go to my left, because my surgery was on my right. I'd roll over and then push up like that. That would kind of be the less painful way to get up. And I moved around. I didn't just lay around and do nothing. I was walking around. I was trying to move a little bit. I wasn't, moving well, but I was moving. Going to the bathroom was tough. If you have to sneeze, cough, that's painful as well. So you can kind of brace yourself when those things come. As far as going to number 2, I would actually not be alarmed if you don't pass stool within the first 24 hours. That's normal. I didn't. And then when it finally came, I had a nice black coffee, and then I felt the urge, and then I went immediately because I wanted my body to help me go. I didn't want to have to push. because that would have just caused more pain. And so when you feel the urge to go, you just go. Don't try to hold it and wait and then see if you can push it out later, because it's just going to be really painful. And so for the whole, day 2 to day 3 and 4, that's when the most swelling set in, and it looked pretty gnarly, and it was pretty painful. And then after day 4, I started to see a stabilization of swelling, and then bruising and old blood starting to kind of move down into my scrotum and onto my penis, onto my shaft. So you get some bruising coloring kind of starting to move around the area, just because it's just starting to move all the old blood out. So that looks pretty gnarly. It looks worse than it is. And then the swelling stabilizes, and now it's on its way down. So now I'm starting to see the wound itself start to kind of get a little bit more secure, reducing in size. So that's pretty cool to see. And my movement is actually starting to feel better. So I can actually sit up forward. Obviously kind of crouching forward is a little bit painful, but in the first 3 days, I couldn't even lean forward. I couldn't sit 90 at all. I had to just lay back the whole time. So even laying completely straight, completely horizontal is actually kind of painful, because you kind of feel like you're pulling or stretching the actual surgical site. So I would kind of elevate my lower back a little bit, and then also elevate my right leg with a pillow underneath my knee to kind of hold the procedure kind of together almost. And that's how I slept, and that's kind of how I sat in the ice as well. Now that I'm at the official 1 week mark, I am looking forward to doing a little more activity. So my walks have been basically kind of around the block. Now I'm actually starting to drive, go to the grocery store, make my own meals, things of that nature. But I think I'm gonna start kind of ramping it up a little bit more. I'm gonna probably do some breath work, some core kind of engagement work. You could try some planks if you want. Just make sure you're just really engaging the core correctly, using the pelvic floor first, and then going up into your abdominals, just to make sure you're not putting any pressure on the site. So if you have that kind of awareness and stability in your core, you can go ahead and start trying that after week 1. I have already started, and it's starting to feel really good. And you're just really healing from the actual wound. The deep cut is probably just like the worst part of it. The actual repair seems to me, and it feels. Now I do still lift, but I have shifted my lifting from my old school, football athlete, sprinter, just powerlifting, to more functional lifting. I still go pretty decently heavy, heavy squatting now, nothing over 315, benching close to 275, 225. I just stay in that range now because it's just where I'm comfortable. I don't really need to go more than that. If I do need help moving something heavier than 350 pounds, I'll ask for help. But if you are a power lifter, or if you're young and you're still trying to push the envelope for your body and your abilities, a mesh repair would probably be good for you, because it's a more secure option, but also it's a quicker recovery too. So the Shouldice repair is a more intensive surgery. You are cutting deeper, you're cutting into more layers of fascia and muscle, and then having those things get sewn and layered over the hole, instead of just sliding in a little piece of plastic right behind the hole, almost creating like a force plate behind the hole, so nothing can kind of make it worse. So that's another thing to think about if you're weighing the options between the two different versions of getting your hernia repaired. So I'm 39, I'm not competing anymore. I don't need to get back healthy for competition or season. So the Shouldice was the way to go for me. Hope this helps you in your journey of deciding on which route you're going to go with repairing your hernia. And I'm definitely going to be doing some more content showing you my recovery process and what exercises I'm going to be introducing as I get further along. And so yeah, if you like this video and content, smash the like button, subscribe to follow some more. See you soon.